You're lying there in the dark right now, aren't you? Or maybe you've been there recently, staring at the ceiling, watching the minutes turn into hours, and your brain just won't stop. It's like someone turned on a television inside your head and you can't find the remote. Every thought you've ever had decides that 2 a.m. is the perfect time to have a meeting. You replay conversations. You run through tomorrow's to-do list. You wonder why you can't just be normal and fall asleep like everyone else seems to do so effortlessly. And the worst part, the truly cruel part, is that the harder you try to fall asleep, the more awake you feel. That's not a character flaw. That's not weakness. That's a very specific, very real neurological trap that millions of people fall into every single night, and most of them have no idea there's actually a way out of it. I need you to understand something before we go any further. Sleep deprivation isn't just about feeling tired. When you're running on poor sleep, your body is literally operating in a stress state. Your cortisol, which is your primary stress hormone, stays elevated. Your decision-making becomes impaired. Studies show that after just a few nights of poor sleep, cognitive function drops by a measurable percentage that rivals being legally intoxicated. And yet most people are walking around like that every single day, caffeinating their way through a fog, wondering why they feel anxious, why they feel short-tempered, why nothing feels quite right. That used to take months or even years to figure out. With the right information, it takes minutes. And speaking of having the right information, for those of you who are ready to go much deeper than what we cover here today, we have related programs linked down below in the video description. People are using them right now to completely transform the way they sleep. Not someday. Right now. But don't worry about that yet. Let's give you some real value first, because you deserve to actually understand what's happening to your body. Here's where most people get it completely wrong. They think sleep is something that just happens to you. You lie down, you close your eyes, and if you're lucky, your brain cooperates. But here's what the science actually says. Sleep is something your body prepares for hours in advance. There's a biological countdown happening inside you every single evening, and most modern habits are actively sabotaging that countdown without you even knowing it. Your body has a system called the circadian rhythm, and it's basically your internal clock. This clock is regulated almost entirely by light. When your eyes detect bright light, especially blue spectrum light, your brain gets a signal that says it's daytime, stay awake. The problem is that our phones, our televisions, our laptops, they all blast that exact same signal directly into our eyes at exactly the time our bodies need to start preparing for sleep. So you're sitting there at night, scrolling, watching, browsing, and your brain is getting confused. It thinks it's noon. Your melatonin production gets suppressed. Your body temperature stays up when it should be dropping. Your heart rate stays elevated when it should be slowing down. And then you wonder why, when you finally put the phone down and close your eyes, sleep doesn't come. You've spent the last 3 hours essentially screaming at your nervous system to stay alert, and now you're asking it to instantly switch off. That's like sprinting at full speed and expecting to stop on a dime. It doesn't work that way. The single most powerful shift you can make right now, tonight, is giving yourself what sleep researchers call a transition window. Stop treating sleep like a light switch and start treating it like a sunset. Sunsets don't happen in an instant. They take time. They have stages. And your brain needs that same gradual dimming. 30 to 60 minutes before you want to be asleep, you begin the transition. Dim the lights in your home. Put away the screens, or at minimum, switch them to a warm, amber tone setting. The goal here isn't just psychological, it's physiological. You are literally giving your brain the chemical permission it needs to produce melatonin, to drop your core body temperature, to slow your heart rate. These are not optional features of sleep. These are the prerequisites. Now here's something that most people never hear about, and it changes everything. Your body temperature actually needs to drop by about 1 to 2 degrees Fahrenheit for you to fall asleep and stay asleep. This is why a warm bath or shower before bed, counterintuitively, actually helps you sleep better. The hot water draws blood circulation to the surface of your skin, and when you get out of the bath, that heat dissipates rapidly, causing a sharp, fast drop in your core temperature. Your brain interprets that temperature drop as a sleep signal. You're essentially hacking your own biology in real time. People who learn this for the first time and try it that same night often report falling asleep in a fraction of the time they normally do. That's not a coincidence. That's physiology working in your favor for once. Let's talk about your mind for a moment, because the body stuff matters, but if your brain is racing, none of it is enough. There's a technique that comes from cognitive research called the cognitive shuffle, and it works by disrupting the pattern of anxious, logical thinking that keeps people awake. Your brain stays alert when it's processing coherent, meaningful thoughts. Worrying about tomorrow is coherent. Replaying a conversation is coherent. But the moment your thoughts become random and disconnected, your brain interprets that as the border between wakefulness and sleep. So deliberately picture random, unconnected images: a red umbrella, a field of snow, a bicycle, a spoon, a purple cloud. The more random and unrelated the images, the faster you're essentially telling your brain that the logical part of the day is over. It sounds almost too simple, but the neurological mechanism behind it is well documented. Here's what changes when this all starts working. You wake up and something feels different. There's a clarity to your thinking that you forgot was even possible. You didn't realize how much of your emotional experience was being colored by exhaustion until the exhaustion was gone. Your patience comes back. Your creativity comes back. The things that used to feel heavy and overwhelming start to feel manageable again, because your brain is finally doing its overnight maintenance work properly. During deep sleep, your brain literally flushes out metabolic waste products through a system called the glymphatic system. Without sufficient deep sleep, that waste accumulates. With it, you're giving your brain a nightly reset. People who consistently improve their sleep often report, within days, not weeks, days, that their mood stabilizes, their anxiety decreases, and their productivity increases in ways they hadn't experienced in years. This is real. The transformation is real. But it requires treating sleep not as an afterthought, not as something you do after you've finished everything else, but as the single most important investment you make in your physical and mental performance every single day. Sleep isn't lazy. Sleep isn't wasted time. Sleep is the foundation that everything else is built on, and when that foundation is solid, everything else in your life gets easier. One final thing before we wrap up. Most people read about sleep, nod along, tell themselves they'll start tomorrow, and then tomorrow comes and nothing changes. Not because they don't care, but because information alone rarely produces lasting change. What actually produces change is structure, accountability, and having someone or something in your corner that guides you through the application, not just the theory. If you're someone who has been struggling with sleep for months or even years, if you're someone who knows the tips but can't seem to make them stick, if you're someone who is genuinely ready to stop surviving on bad sleep and start actually living, then the programs we have linked below in the video description exist specifically for that. They're not for people who are sort of interested. They're for people who are done settling. They're for people who are ready to do what the majority won't do, because they want what the majority will never have. The window to get started is open right now, but life has a funny way of filling every gap you leave open with something else. Don't leave this gap open. The link is below. Your sleep is worth fighting for.